if anybody has any questions or reflections. I'm not a total expert, so I might just be able to have to say I don't know, but I would like to open it up. Yes? I mean, on the one hand, I mean, there are like stretching and breathing exercises that aren't yoga. So, I mean, I would recommend seeking that out because I think that's a lot healthier and safer. Then, yeah, I mean, if you need to go for a therapeutic massage and you start seeing, yeah, this isn't what I signed up for, yeah, like, sorry, but could we just stick with the more traditional stuff, you know, and then don't go back, you know. I mean, the thing is that I think it depends how it's presented as well. You know, if it's being presented as yoga and I'm with a group, like now after everything I've read, I would say I wouldn't be there. Well, I wouldn't be there anyways, but I would feel very uncomfortable being in a group setting for something like that. But YouTube's a great friend in that sense. But yeah, I mean, I think you have to look for that. Then you also just look for like, how are the things decorated? If you see crystals all over the place, definitely a warning sign. Sometimes it's tough. A few weeks ago, I visited a psychological clinic and a lot of good things and a few things I'm like, not Divine Mercy Clinic, but, and a few things where I'm like wondering, is that okay? Is it not okay? Especially after reading all of this stuff, you know, it makes you a little paranoid. But in the end, I'm giving it more of a positive evaluation. You know, but be careful. I think it's a good thing. You know, if there is something more doubtful, you know, ask yourself, well, what am I doing here? Right? What am I looking for? Is it really giving me that? And then it's something to bring up in consultation with a spiritual director or even within the sacrament of confession. You know, I went to some place and I saw these things, like, what do you think? Because, I mean, none of it is worth inviting a demonic influence into your life. Like, that's something you definitely want to avoid. Okay? Well, I just feel like it's more present than I would have expected. You know, just think, you know, how often does somebody say, well, I'll send good thoughts your way? You know, and like how much does it affect our language? I mean, we're in Southern California. This place is about as secular as it gets, you know, which I love. I love Southern California, but I mean, it's definitely very secular. And so how often does it creep into our language, our way of thinking? You know, just think good thoughts. Okay. I mean, there could be a good side of it, but I think often there's a little bit new agey there. So, I mean, I wouldn't have any percentages or anything, but I just feel like it is something that kind of creeps in, as well as, you know, there are things that are specifically promoting all of this. You know, Course of Miracles, it's not small, Law of Attraction, The Secret. I mean, these are part of pop culture. So, I mean, it's out there. Okay, yeah, thanks. No, I don't think that hoping for I mean, I think that hoping for a good life is what we should all hope for, right? And I think that, you know, and that's where I'm saying as well, that a lot of times it might be very similar to the truth, right? But the big difference is, where is the control? You know, and I would agree that there's a lot of Catholics in the way they live out some of the novena devotion, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't have novena devotions, but often there's a temptation to live out the novena as if it was a magic formula. And that's wrong, right? That's not Catholic. I remember once I was in a church in Mexico and somebody was, you know, and there's a lot of devotion to Saint Judas Thaddeus, right? Kind of the patron of lost causes. And somebody was saying, yeah, you have to go into that church and you have to pray to Judas Thaddeus, and you're going to get your miracle. But not the statue in the back of the church. You have to go to the statue in the front of the church. I mean, that's more idolatry than Catholic faith, right? And so that's the thing. With manifesting, it's I have the control. So I imagine this, and then the universe has to give it to me. But prayer is precisely hope, where I come before God. So God is not me. It's not, you know, the universe manifesting to myself what I already know. But it's I'm coming before God, who's somebody different from me, and I believe that He is good, and I'm asking Him for what I think is good for me, as long as it's His will. Does that help at all? I think that, so here I'd probably direct it more towards Zen meditation. And I'm not an expert in this area, and I haven't really read up too much on this lately. But with Zen, your goal is nothingness, right? And that's where it's something that's very different. So even like some of the behaviors might be similar. Like sometimes it can be helpful to take a deep breath, or often it's good to take a deep breath, and it does help to clear our minds. But it's like, but where am I trying to get? And in prayer, and in contemplative prayer that you're mentioning, I'm trying to get to a place of receptivity of the Holy Spirit, not of absolute nothingness and emptiness. So I'd say that's the essential difference, right? And we do have to be careful, because like all of these things have been integrated into different prayer workshops, and there has been a lot of confusion, and there has been a lot of crossover, and there has been a lot of syncretism. But contemplative prayer and I'm even a little hesitant, because I think that mindfulness, there's probably a lot of different practices that will be grouped under mindfulness, and some could be more acceptable and others would be, more problematic. But like, doing breathing exercises in order to, calm your nervous system, or to give yourself more control of your nervous system, there's something scientific there. It's not simply a Zen meditation. And so like that could be something, it's even something that's done in therapy in a very, authentic way, and it can be something that's very good. But so much, and even when we hear the meditation, the word meditation in a secular atmosphere, a lot of it is, emptying of the mind in order to have like this, almost a nirvana experience. It's not the same as contemplative prayer. Well, so I think, my very simple summary of CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, would be change your thoughts, change your behaviors, right? So that like a lot of times we can have thought distortions where we're perceiving something incorrectly. And so, like one thing that I always try to be careful about, and listening to confession, you hear a lot of this, judging other person's intentions. She didn't let me plan our mother's funeral because she hates me. Okay, that because she hates me is a huge leap, right? And maybe it's true, but it could also be a huge thought distortion. So if, I think in CBT, a lot of the work is on correcting the thought distortions, which then leads to healthier behaviors. And then, positive thinking, I would think would often be kind of glazing over a lot of that, and just putting myself in the center and being very proud and selfish and narcissistic. So I hope I passed the test on that one. I feel like it was an exam question. I don't know if there's anything, if you would want to follow up and complete anything there.
I think you explained it pretty well. I think distortion.
And I think there's even something helpful about the role of the therapist, because, if it's a good therapist, you're bringing in an external element. So rather than falling into the solipsism and just, kind of selfish narcissism, I am allowing an outside judgment to affect the way that I'm seeing this. Yeah. So I would probably be hesitant to classify secular and Catholic psychology. I would probably go back to like what I think there could be a Catholic worldview that would influence the way psychologists would be doing things, and that's going to affect the way we understand man and his relation to God. But I'm a little hesitant to classify secular and Catholic psychology per se. But then looking at, okay, like you were saying, like, is there room for mindfulness in a Catholic worldview? I think that the more that it comes close to an idea of Zen meditation, where I'm looking for nothingness, I would say that there's not. To the extent that it is being aware of my own emotions and what's going on within myself, then I think that that's something that's very healthy, right? So I would say that, so it's like, I don't really like the term. I would probably focus more on something like awareness. Like I'm aware of my surroundings, and I'm also aware of what's going on inside of me. And I feel like that's a lot healthier way of looking at it. Because, and so I would probably avoid the word mindfulness in a Catholic context, just because I think it's a charged word, right? And kind of what it is. I think that we have to be really careful about misusing words, or kind of like twisting words, or just like, okay, well, mindfulness is something that's really good, or is seen as very positive, so let's put Catholic clothes on it. Well, no, let's talk about who we are. I think it's good to ask questions, right? To kind of ask questions. Well, oh yeah, and somebody's like, well, no, I really get a lot out of my mindfulness meditation. Oh, really? And how does that work? And what goes on there? It's interesting. And then trying to direct it towards something else, and just like, okay, so what are you actually looking for here? No, I'm just looking to not suffer anymore. All right. Well, I mean, I get that. I can understand that. Now, I mean, could I share with you some of the things that I do, when I'm looking for that same goal? And then you kind of bring it more towards prayer and understanding and acceptance of suffering, because I mean, one thing that we're all going to suffer. But I mean, I think the big difference for us as Christians is that we can have a meaning to our suffering. Because everybody suffers. Yeah, I mean, I think like for a parent, I would try to stop it. Say like I would prefer my child. Well, no, I mean, my child can't participate in this. I would probably take it that direction. Yeah, because I mean, no, I mean, it's tough. I mean, and right now there's so many things in the schools, unfortunately, that are very difficult and very much opposed to a Catholic Christian vision of the world. And, but yeah, I would try to have them not participate, and then, talk with them. But I mean, yeah, I would try to shut it down.